Okay, once you're doing a forecast for product A, you don't need to do a forecast for product B, C, D. You don't need to find models for them. You simply do a regression, find out what is the relation, use that ratio, compare it to the forecast one number one for product A, and you get the forecast for all the different products. Very simple. Okay, but the underlying assumption is associative forecasting can be done, generally is done for smaller products or wide category. For example, in the automobile industry, like again I will take an example here again. If you take like, if you're aware what is a bill of material, bill of material is kind of a recipe for your finished good. Okay, it lists down it is a list of all the single components that go inside the car. Okay, typical bill of material of an automobile, of a car, contains 5,000 to 7,000 components. Okay, imagine if you are, let's say, inventory manager for the raw material or the components sitting in one of those companies, Ford. If you were asked to do, 7,000 components are there in one single car, you will have, let's say, 50 different cars. So even if you use a lot of commonality, even if you will use a lot of, standard components, you might have 20 to 25,000 components. And now if somebody will ask you to do forecasting for these, so you will not do forecasting 25,000 times for each different product. So what you do is you form product categories. For example, nuts and bolts. You decide, okay, this is the category of nuts and bolts. All of them are led by one particular component. If I do the forecasting of one particular component, the rest can be associated with this 1 to 1 or 10 to 8, whatever be the associative percentage, whatever be the correlation. If I do for one product category, then I can associate with them. So for example, if I do with one clutch pad or a brake pad, and then the component, associated components, can simply follow that. So this is an approach of, let's say, inventory management, where you can use this, because you don't want to deploy 25,000 models for 25,000 components in the particular industry. So there you do a simple correlation or a regression. You do it in an Excel, 25,000 components all listed down. You select 10, 12, 15 or 20 leaders who will be leading the forecast. And then you start finding the correlation, how correlated these product leaders are with the different components. And then you do the forecasting for the leaders, and then derive the forecast for the other components by the factor of association only. So this is how you generally proceed. And there are different terms, the different companies that you use for it. Some have standardized this practice. A lot of automobile companies have standardized this practice also. The way they forecast is they have defined, category leaders or categories or group components. Groups are defined. So they have evolved to a quite an, let's say, mature level also. And it is becoming it is actually a standard practice, because forecasting for each and every part is next to impossible. Like, you cannot really forecast, you cannot monitor so many number of forecast.